Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast. Coming up next, we got Bobby. I don't want to pronounce the last name wrong, so how do you pronounce this name so that we can get this joint right on the first go? How you pronounce
Ballantyne.
Bobby Ballantyne is in the building with
sir.
us.
Yes, sir.
Coming up next.
Strength powerhouse, dangerous slam, surgical, can't repair once I break every limb. The general, which ring you prefer, I defend, cause the ruler always prays on the food in his hand. I'm telling you, fam, my entourage is definitely stacked. Don Callis, I'm related to every wolf in my pack. Diesel like Shaq, I'm always outside for the script. Light it up, we take the ring, no fear in our eyes. Gold on my shoulder, fire in the sky. Hear the crowd get loud, we were born to rise. Bars in the zone, Doug keeps the pace. Otter with the plan, we control the space. This is greatness, nothing less. Turn the pressure to success. We're
This is the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, your home for real pro wrestling talk.
Soon, Bang Out Club will meet their fate. We have a secret weapon, someone from Lisa Bang Out's past, just in case she tries to get involved in our business. Meet our insurance policy.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we the champs. Thanks for listening. We gone.
You want the best? You're looking at her. This ain't just a sport, it's a lifestyle. Welcome to the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast. We are the champions of wrestling talk.
Please stand by.
Now, here's your host for Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, the insightful Scott Bars, wrestling media in the dynamic salute, Darkwing Dub.
We back. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more content. Our special guest, please introduce yourself, good brother.
Yes, sir. If you don't know, I'm the man from the sanctuary of Charlotte, North Carolina. Had to clear my throat right quick. If you don't know, I'm her Bronze Knight, but you can call me Bobby B, and the B stands for Ballantyne. How y'all doing tonight?
Let's give a round of applause. Yeah. We appreciate you for tapping in with us this evening. You know what I mean? With
Yes, sir.
with your busy schedule and all that. You know,
Yes,
we definitely appreciate, especially on a WrestleMania weekend. That's different.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Different. That is different.
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of podcasts, and as y'all know, my boy, mutual friend of ours, Cam Jackson, kind of slid me in and hooked me up, and I was like, hey man, I rock with the vibe. I gotta do it. So I gotta get out and about a little bit more. So I appreciate y'all.
No doubt. Well, my tag team partner on the right side of me usually starts off these convos, so I'm gonna tag him in real quick, and he's gonna get this thing going.
Sounds good.
First and foremost, sir, is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing at WrestleMania?
I'm just be straight up. I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is definitely the ladder match. And is of course because of Javon Evans, going to be going after the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. That's just crazy. Somebody from I saw him when he was young. I remember seeing him like when he was like 13, 14, 15, first getting into wrestling, and now he's on, possibly the biggest platform, and not even possibly, he's on the biggest platform in wrestling, and he's getting to show what he can do on a grand scale, because people have already seen kind of on a smaller scale of what he can do, but now it's more eyes, then I feel like most shows any time of the year, it's WrestleMania. So everybody's locking in, whether they, whether they've been keeping up with TV the whole year or not. So that's definitely, I think, one that I'm mainly looking forward to. Feel like, of course, another one everybody's looking forward to is Oba and Brock. You know, for many reasons, but yeah, those are probably the main two, and then of course, you know, the main events. I know those are gonna be dope. Um, Seth Rollins and Gunther, that's gonna be dope. You know, I was a big Seth dude when I was kind of first uh getting into wrestling, so those are kind of my few, I guess, like four matches that I'm kind of mainly looking forward to.
Before I get into my questioning, I want to hear somebody who's actually in the industry. What was your thoughts on the WWE bringing in Pat McAfee to be part of this Randy Orton Cody Rhodes rivalry?
You know, I know I don't know a whole lot, you know, but it just felt kind of weird. Uh, I know I saw somebody was pointing out the fact that we don't get a whole lot of like rehashes from that kind of era, like that 2009, 2010 kind of era is usually like Ruthless Aggression, or which is my era, you know, or like Attitude Era. Um, so being able to see them kind of go back and revisit their story from, you know, Cody first showing up on Raw with Dusty and them not really rocking with each other, and, you know, him punting Dusty in the head, to him joining Legacy, and then, you know, him doing the Brotherhood thing with Goldust and Dusty, and then the Authority kind of being against him and having to leave WWE. It was like, you know, it was a real good kind of story, you know, they kind of already had, and, you know, Cody leaving, you know, and doing his thing in Ring of Honor and New Japan, and then eventually, you know, landing and starting AEW and stuff. It was a nice little story of, you know, Cody's kind of growth and progress, not only as a wrestler, but kind of as a person. Uh, as opposed to Randy, you know, he's always kind of been there. He's always kind of been on the grind. You know, he really only, I feel like, had like a few major injuries. You know, he's had a couple, but it hadn't been like a bunch of them. Um, to, you know, him sticking it out and being there the whole time, and being that guy that, you know, no matter what, Randy Orton was always there. So I feel like they had a nice little story, and then they, you know, they had the cake, and it was all nice and frosted. And I feel like they just kind of started throwing extra stuff on top. And it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that is very excited that Pat McAfee is, you know, in the story now, and it's on ESPN, and they can turn on ESPN and see, you know, Pat McAfee talking about WWE. I'm sure there are a lot of people that's pretty cool, but I know there are a lot of other people, it just kind of felt a little bit unnecessary, you know. So as yeah, it just seemed like they had the cake and they had the cherry on top, and then they just started putting like extra like syrup on top for no reason. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people. If you pay attention to TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and places like that, you know there's a lot of people unhappy about that.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely understand the unhappiness, especially because you know, people also talk about, you know, Jelly Roll kind of being there, so I feel like, you know, having Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee it feels a little excessive to some people, you know. I understand, you know, star power, you know, there's I'm sure it I don't know if it's gonna be some Jelly Roll fans that's gonna drop the $40 for WrestleMania, but, you know, maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they know better. You know, I mean, they definitely know better than I do. But, you know, maybe they know something we don't. So I get the star power. I understand that. But I also understand not just wanting two people to just go in the ring and wrestle. I also understand that.
It's like you said though. It was like it's unnecessary. The story
Yeah,
was ready made. All you had to do was just let it play out.
yeah. And I feel like I don't know if they were like they didn't think it was gonna play out in the way that they thought, or like get a reaction in the way that they thought it would if they just let it play out that way. But at this point, we'll never know because that's not how it played out. If it did play out without Pat McAfee, maybe it would have been just as hot. Maybe people would be just as interested, or even more interested. If I'm being a little honest, then they kind of are right now. If they had just kind of did a good old, good guy, bad guy, but he kind of has a reason for acting like this, and it's Randy Orton. Like it's kind of hard to hate Randy Orton. You know, that's that dude. Uh, so it's yeah, just kind of like you said, unnecessary.
I feel it. I feel it. I just wanted to gauge how you were feeling being in the industry and seeing that. So let's start at the beginning. We've talked to a lot of wrestlers that have an athletic background, whether it's
Mm.
football, amateur wrestling, basketball, whatever the case may be. Do you have an athletic background before you got into wrestling?
Yeah. So of course, when I was little, my dad had me playing like was it OP like basketball and soccer and stuff like that. But once I got to high school, I started wrestling on the wrestling team. And it was one of those, it's kind of, I feel like it's been a lot of wrestlers that kind of say the same thing where they heard something about like a wrestling club. And it was like, okay, cool. It's people that like wrestling. Cool, I'll go do that. Like that sounds like something I'd be interested in. But then you get there and you find out like it's like amateur wrestling. But then, I was in there and I was with everybody and the coach, Coach Higgins at the time, he was talking. I was like, I mean, this sounds like something, it sounds like something I'll rock with. I can kind of be aggressive. I was always somebody that wanted more like, I guess, physicality. I like basketball, I like soccer, but I guess I just wanted something a little bit more. Which is why I think wrestling really kind of clicked. And I always been a little bit bigger, but always still kind of could move. Which is always something that kind of helped me on the mat. But I really love wrestling. Like when I got to high school, that was just kind of something that just kind of clicked with me. And I got to the point where I was going in the senior year, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and told my teammates, I'm like, I'm gonna stop wrestling. I'm gonna go ahead and start training for like pro wrestling. They're like, no, like, come on, man, like you can't leave. Like it's last year, like just come on back. So I was like, all right, y'all convinced me. So I can't. I went back. I was a captain that year. I ended up doing pretty good that year. I think that was like the best year I had. But it was fun. I honestly miss getting on the mat. Uh, it was some days, like getting up early and going to the tournaments and stuff on Saturday, like 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's cold. It's 50 degrees outside, and we stopping at Harris Teeter to get something to eat. Uh, it wasn't the greatest or the funnest of mornings, but looking back on it now, those are some good times.
So, being an amateur wrestler, what was it that got you to professional wrestling?
So I always liked professional wrestling. Like just one of those like, I don't remember a time where I like wasn't watching wrestling. Like I remember being real little and my dad throwing wrestling on, you know, uh, Raw coming on Spike TV during the day and throwing that on so I could catch up because I had to go to bed before Raw ended. So I just had to wait until they showed the replay of what happened. So I was always kind of into pro wrestling. So amateur wrestling to me was kind of like I need to do amateur wrestling before I need to do pro wrestling because that's just, that just makes sense to me, which wasn't true. It wasn't necessarily true. But I was always kind of just looking at wrestling schools, even like before I started training. So I had perfect attendance all the way from kindergarten to high school to the day I graduated. So I would be the kid in there on like the test days that nobody had to be there on the computer searching up wrestling schools and stuff. And then that's how I found high spots. So that's why I first started training at shout out George South. That's my trainer. Awesome dude, amazing. Uh, you know, it's like another father figure. Uh, but ended up meeting up with him, and then he was telling me about how he was training at high spots. So ended up going over to high spots and signing up there. And they were doing a thing where like you come one week and then watch, and then come back the next week and then you can start. So that's basically what I did. I came and watched a week and then went back, started. And that was October of 2015. I just been kind of at it since. I took a little break during COVID time, and then kind of jumped back in 2023, like early 2023. And I'm just kind of still going.
So, with all of that being said, with your amateur wrestling background, you're finally getting into the school with George South. What was it like taking that first bump, and B, running the ropes?
Oh man. So that first night was basically just kind of me taking bumps. Just so I could kind of get used to being in the ring. But I remember being like it hurt, but I was like excited. Like, cause I was in there. Like at that point I was in there. I was doing it. I was taking bumps. I was in the ring. Um, but I remember after that first night of training, I remember driving back and I was sore and like I had the worst headache. I think that's just kind of like a common thing for everybody is like the first like week training headache. Like I think it's just your body getting used to doing that at that point. Um, so hitting that mat and feeling it for the first time, it was awesome. It was like a dream come true. But at the same time, that joint hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then hitting the ropes was, I think I did that the next night, but it was a little bit weird at first because it's kind of like doing suicides, but not really. Because when you're doing suicides, you kind of got to stop yourself. When you're hitting the rope is pushing you back. Like there's momentum that you're building up off of that. So trying to figure out the right amount of steps to get there, and all right, I gotta turn my body a certain way at this point so I can hit the rope the right way and all that stuff. And it's kind of like riding a bike. Like when you first start riding a bike, it seems real difficult, trying to keep your balance and trying to get the pedals going and stuff and do it all at the same time. Or, like if you got roller skates and you're trying to do the same thing, you're trying to balance and skate at the same time. But once you kind of get in the groove of it, it's just kind of like ingrained in you. Like it's just kind of part of your like routine. Like you get in the ring, you hit the ropes, and that's just kind of, natural to me. But at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, that first little bit, it was kind of weird, you know. Um, And again, it's the fact that you don't really have control of the fact that you do, but you don't have control of the fact that you're like stopping. It's kind of like there's a wall right there, but the wall is pushing you back. So it's a strange feeling trying to first get adjusted to all of it.
So, in your mind or in your eyes, which one was worse, running the ropes or that bump?
Oh man, that's a good question. To be honest with you, I'll probably say the bump hurt worse, but also one of the thing about the ropes, depending on the ring you're in, especially, but most people have like the same kind of ropes. Uh, the ropes will hurt. If you hit them hard enough, or you hit them, you hit them at a good speed, they kind of hurt. And when you first hitting them and you don't know that, you're not really thinking about the fact that it's gonna hurt a little bit, a little bit later, or you're gonna have a little mark on your back from the fact that you hit the rope. It's just really kind of all right, but let me just hit it. But when you hit it and you come back and you feel it, especially if it's cold, it's not the most fun experience. But that bump is probably the thing that hurt the worst, because that's the thing that ended up giving me those headaches. And that headache is it's really just like I said, like the first week. Once your body gets adjusted to doing it, it's not like you don't really get them. But if you kind of like fall out of routine, or if you're first getting into it, back of your head right here, right at the top of your neck, you might get a little bit of pain for a little bit. So yeah, those bumps, they sometimes they're not the best. They're not the most fun.
I'm gonna ask this one last question, and I'm gonna pass it on to my bro. With all of that being said, what do you say to the people that say wrestling is fake?
It's not fake, because like I think that's the best way for me to put it like that. It's just not fake, especially I remember we kind of like laugh at them now, but when I was younger, they had the WWE, don't try this at home videos where, Rey Mysterio would talk about, I had surgery 5 times in my left knee, or, JR talking about like, how do you learn to fall off a ladder? Like stuff like people's bodies do go through a lot of pain and a lot of impact to their body to kind of entertain, and that's kind of just the price we pay for what we do. That's just kind of, unwritten like contract that we just kind of agree to when we start wrestling, is that it's gonna hurt. And it's not like some people might say I'm a little stiff when I wrestle, Uh, so I'm hitting people. It's not like I'm not hitting them, but I'm not trying to go out here and kill somebody. I'm not purposefully going out here and trying to put them to sleep. At the end of the day, we are just trying to go home. We are just trying to make it back to the house. But we love wrestling, so this is what we dedicate our time and our life and our body to. So I think that people that say that, they just don't really understand what pro wrestling is. I think that's kind of like a lot of people will be like, oh, I used to watch it when I was little, but, I found out it was fake, I stopped watching it. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it is fake. Like, another like a big analogy people say is like, like movies and TV are fake, but people don't sit there and constantly be like, oh, well, that's fake. Like when I'm watching, Daredevil or something, I'm not like, oh, that's fake. I just kind of enjoy it for what it is and get lost in the ride and have fun. Which is the same thing that wrestling is, but I just think people don't necessarily understand that because they don't watch it, because they haven't experienced that, or they hadn't experienced since they were a kid. and somebody ruined it for them. So now they kind of feel like they have to ruin it for other people. Um, and that's just the thing. Like, even regardless of what goes on in the back, like it's still real. You know, people spend hours in their cars or hours in their on planes, and even though a plane might be a little bit more comfortable, being in those kind of seated positions like that isn't necessarily good on your body either. So now you're doing that and you're wrestling, and it's kind of like a double tax on your body. Uh, so it's not fake, and in the way that people think it is. That is not even fake. It's just we're not necessarily going out here trying to hurt people, or we're not necessarily trying to go out here and permanently disable anybody. I'll say it like that.
What's funny is that our last guest that we had, Trayvon Ali, he said when I asked him that question, he was like, "It's not fake, and if you don't believe me, just come train with me. Just give me 60 seconds. Give me 60 seconds."
Because honestly, like off that first bump, that's the thing. Like, it's been so many people. I think that's something that you kind of forget about sometimes when you like kind of get into it. It's like it's been so many people that I've like started training with that like just kind of stopped wrestling because they just couldn't take it no more. No shade or nothing to them. If you more respect to you. If you understand that it's not for you, then more respect to you. It's not for you. But yeah, I think a lot of people off that first bump, kind of like you asked me, hitting the rope or taking a bump. I think if they did either one, that would kind of be it. Especially kind of how I was saying those ropes hurt. I feel like if they back touched that rope and they came off, they not gonna want to hit that rope again. Like it's a very kind of taxing thing, and you kind of got to be a little crazy to do it. But yeah, I don't think most people could probably get through a training session, to be honest with you. Even like a light training session, even if it wasn't doing nothing crazy, like even if we was just doing like some chain wrestling or something, I don't even know if a lot of people can get through that, So it's rough. It's not easy.
Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first. He pretty much second what Trayvon said. Give me 60 seconds. It's on you, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I get into the questions that I have out for you, I want to say like wrestling is a gladiator sport. You know what I'm saying? It literally is a modern day gladiator sport, and I feel more than anything, you have to have the mental fortitude in order to be able to compete in a professional wrestling ring, because it do hurt. You know what I'm saying? We've had plenty of guests on the show that have described their injuries and basically spoke about a bunch of things that led up to either them retiring early or just taking a break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's a gladiator sport. You have to have some mental toughness in order to be successful in it, And I do believe that's the reason why you have some of the wrestlers that they periodically take breaks. Like they're like in between. Even if they're on the indies, they take breaks. Like they space out their bookings, because like they don't want to risk injuries, so they space out their bookings to have give their bodies a chance to heal. Recuperate. Which I think is pretty smart, by the way, if you think about it. Like if you're on the indies and you're a high commodity, but you don't want to be on a consistent, and you can afford it, hey,
Yeah.
just do that, So I agree. So, I want to talk about your in-ring psychology.
Yes, sir.
Things that you do in the ring that will spark up the crowd or whatnot, or how you tell a story. So I'm gonna start my question off like this. Your Kansas City gear, that you be rocking, is iconic. How much of the city is a blue collar, hardworking identity to you, intentionally bringing you into your in-ring persona, and how does that influence your wrestling style compared to someone who might portray more big city or flashier character?
Man. Uh, so the Queen City is always gonna be my city. This is where I was like born and raised. Like my people aren't from here, but I'm from here, and that kind of like you know I feel at home. Where my people are from, but this is my place. Like people ask me a lot, like, you gonna leave, Charlotte, at some point, or you see yourself staying here. And I understand that people don't really see a whole lot here, especially people from other cities. But like, this is just kind of my place, like, and that's why I call it sanctuary. Like, this is my home. This is where I feel most like myself. So just the gear is just a representation of kind of like, me wearing my heart on my sleeve, or like, in this instance, me wearing my crown on my sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because I want to represent the queen to the best of my ability. I want to bring as much glory back to the name of Charlotte that I can, because I feel like the name of our city kind of been slept on for a little bit, and I understand that the sports teams ain't necessarily been doing the greatest sometimes, but it's not like a loser mentality like some people say. Like, I feel like we just haven't gotten the respect or the chance to flash like we should.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so honestly, my thing is just to represent myself in the, not even myself, but myself and the people of Charlotte and the Queen, most importantly, in the most, not righteous, but just in the best way that I can to the people that are watching. I
Right.
don't try to do a whole lot of pulling the tights, or raking people's eyes, or trying to cheat behind the referee's back, because I want to show people that you can just do it if you sit there and put the work in. If you sit there and you stand 10 toes down and you throw hands, I want to be able to show them I can throw hands with them. Not just that I can find the best way to cheat and take advantage of it.
Right.
So anything that I can, get the people excited, or make them feel like it's not necessarily just me versus my opponent, but it's us versus my opponent. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember at a show, I think like last month, there was this dude in the front, and he wasn't necessarily like, he was watching, but he wasn't like hype. But I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of started pointing at him because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to feel like, no, bro, like, I want you to feel like I'm talking to you. I'm not just looking at you just for the sake of like looking at you. Like, I'm looking at you because I want you to feel what I'm feeling. I want you to get hyped like I'm getting hyped. I want you to get excited like I'm getting excited, because now it's
Mm-hmm.
us versus him, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's just kind of the mentality. Even if I'm not in Charlotte, that's just kind of the mentality that I try to bring with me, because it's a lot of people in Charlotte that aren't from Charlotte, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
want them to feel like they're not part of the city. I don't want them to feel like they're not part of the sanctuary that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of just where I go with things. And then the story really just kind of depends on who I'm in there with. and how our two, as you know, the kids are saying these days, how our two auras would clash with each other. You know, I'm a little bit more of a grappler, striker type. You know, hit you with a big impact move to go ahead and put you away because I'm a little bit bigger. I got asthma, so my lungs ain't necessarily the greatest of all time. But I'm trying to do what I can to get that win. I'm not just gonna lay down and let you have it. Uh, so that's basically where my mindset is. I hope I answered that question in
No, you
full
did. Yeah,
context.
no. You did perfectly fine. You answered it perfectly. You know, it's funny. It's funny. You speak of representation because representation is important.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a question to piggyback off of what you said. How important is black representation in professional wrestling from your perspective?
It's crazy because black people I feel like always been around wrestling in some sort of fashion. I'm sure even back to the old days when they was like fighting on ship ports for money and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I'm sure it was some brothers in there throwing some hands trying to get some extra money for some lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but it feels like it's really just something that we're really kind of seeing. Like there's really it feels like something that's really kind of being taken more seriously now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like it was something like, yeah, he's black and that's cool, but like Willow Nightingale, I saw a little clip of her. She did an interview, and she was kind of talking about like how the New Day were kind of really broke the mold in a way of like being like black people and having like black joy, and it wasn't just they're real athletic. They're not just big muscular people, and they're not just mad all the time. They were like doing their thing, and they were jovial, and they were happy, and they were laughing, and they were clapping, and they were dancing.
Yeah, I
You
seen that
know,
same interview you talking about. I seen it.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And it was a different representation of like what it meant to be black. Willow Nightingale in the same way, like uh uh somebody like her, being able to be her jovial self and smile, and it's her, it's not like, oh hey, just go out there and smile and like look happy, like no, that's just her. That's just who she is. So to be able to see like it's not just one way to be black, we're not a monolith, it's not just one, you don't just have to be super athletic to be a black wrestler. You
Mm-hmm.
can be yourself and you can do your thing. It's a guy I've been kind of tapping into Evolve for like the first time. And like it's a dude on there named Trill London, and he doesn't necessarily come out to like the necessarily most, what you think a black wrestler will come out to. He's real
Mm-hmm.
like influenced by Jeff Hardy. So that's
Mm-hmm.
real cool to see. It's nice when we have representation. It's awesome when we have representation, but to be able to see different kinds of representation, I think that's the best part. The fact that we can see so many different types of black people, and it's not just the same thing, like I was saying, where you got to be super athletic and you got to be big as hell, to be somebody on TV. Now we have people that, you know, we got emo black people, we got goth black people, we got black people that are super athletic, but we also got black people that are just funny as hell. We have all these different types of representation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, whether it be African American, Jamaican, wherever they may be from.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's amazing. And it's something we need, it's not just something like, this it's not just something we just saying just for the fact of like, oh, we want to see more black people. Like, yes, we want to see more black people, but it's also to say that we want to see more black people because we want to feel like comfortable in these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And not just us, but we want people younger than us that when they grow up and they still rock with this, they still rock with wrestling to feel like they can,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I can do that. I can be a wrestler and I can be myself, or I can be who I want to be and not feel like I'm an outcast because of that.
Right. So, with that being said, who from black representation in professional wrestling inspires you and your character the most?
Oh man. Uh, uh I'd say his name. I won't go say his name, but shout out Cedric Alexander. That was one of the first uh black people I saw like in person um that really kind of hit me with that, oh, I can do this. Like, when I was first kind of getting into indie wrestling, he was one of the first few people that I really remember seeing. Of course, there's a lot of great people on TV right now. We got Leon Slater doing his thing. I feel like that's another kind of, you know, different kind of representation. He's British and he talks a little bit different, but they accept him for who he is because that boy can wrestle, but he's just a cool ass dude. Um, there's Big E was a big like favorite of mine. Like when I was getting into NXT, when NXT kind of started shifting from it being the game show and changing to them, going down to the was it Full Sail and doing their thing there. That he was a big kind of inspiration for me because again, even when he was in the New Day, he was being his self, just his goofy usual self, and he was a little bit bigger and he was cool with that. So those are just kind of like a lot of people that I know he's not wrestling right now, but that's just some of the main dudes that I kind of looked at and was like, okay, I rock with them. Like I really see what they're doing. I understand it, or not even necessarily I understand it, but I feel it. I think that's another thing to me. It's like you gotta feel something, because you can do something cool. We can do all the cool stuff we want, but if I'm not making you feel it, then what difference does it make? You know what I mean? If I'm not making you feel that impact, or if I'm not making you feel that emotion, um, that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
With that being said, what has impacted you the most in professional wrestling? Whether it was a cool quote from a locker room peer that y'all just had finished wrestling a match, or whether it was from a mentor, or whether it was from somebody that you idolized on TV as you watched wrestling, or all the above. Who inspired you the most?
And being a ruthless aggression kid, uh, like Shelton Benjamin was one of the like big ones you was constantly see on TV, and he was constantly doing his thing. It wasn't like he was just kind of on TV and then like getting beat up, and then that was kind of it. Shelton Benjamin was out there, multi-time U.S. champion. Thought he gonna get that ECW title, but I guess that just wasn't in the pages. Uh, but that like just seeing him not only on like Raw, SmackDown, and ECW, but especially those Money in the Bank ladder matches they used to have at Mania, where he would go kind of crazy. He would turn up and do his thing, and it was kind of cool to be able to see like him again, for him to be an athletic person. He was kind of really getting to highlight his athleticism, in a way that he couldn't do just in a regular match. Which again, which is why I'm kind of go back to another question from earlier, hype for to see Javon in a ladder match at WrestleMania. To be able to see him turn up with the ladders and use his athleticism to his full advantage would be nice. Nice to see. Of course, everybody when Kofi won the WWE Championship, that I feel like that hit everybody. That wasn't even that long ago, but that was something big. Uh, you know, I feel like we all felt. I feel like we all remember that video of Shad and MVP kind of being together and watching it together and what that meant to them. And I feel like that just kind of like encapsulated what that meant to a lot of people. Uh, like it's a lot of like little stuff, but even not even just them winning, or like winning matches or something, but meeting people in real life, meeting like D'Lo Brown or meeting like a JTG or you know just all or Ron Simmons and them sharing a little piece or a little nugget of wisdom with you, and the fact that they always say don't meet your heroes because you don't know how they're gonna be, but when you meet them, like they still cool people, like no matter what, they still down to earth. And I think they also kind of understand their place in wrestling as not only just as like top wrestlers, but as like black wrestlers that have made it, to a spot that a lot of people like us hadn't gotten to make it to, and they take that responsibility to pass that knowledge on to try to help us in any way that they can. So that's also cool stuff. It's kind of nice to see. Um, where I wrestled in front of like Jushin Thunder Liger, that was cool. You know, um, like that's, and I think I've been wrestling for a while. And I just kind of like forget some of the stuff that I've been doing, but when I say it out loud, it kind of it's like, oh yeah, that's like kind of cool. Like a lot of people can't say they did that. Um, so I done some cool stuff in not only my like wrestling career, but I've seen a lot of cool stuff since I've been watching wrestling, especially from people like us, which is just always a little extra bonus. Um, so it's just been so many like different little interactions or different moments in time that I feel like it kind of influenced me in a way to not only start wrestling, but to keep going. Like, it's something that I can reach. It's not that far. It doesn't seem as far away as it did at one point.
Right.
Shoot, even like, I know you asked a question earlier. I know it was a question before where you asked like about inspiration stuff, but like somebody like Kevin Knight, like the first black young lion in New Japan, I won't say, at least at the LA dojo, that's another like inspiration, somebody that kind of showing you that, it's not that far. And he's young too, he's not like a older guy, like that's a young brother. Uh, so it's just the fact that we keep getting, I feel like we keep reaching these little victories and we're getting more and more and more. And people are kind of starting to appreciate it more, not just for like, oh, they're athletic. That's dope. But no, like they're understanding I feel like they're understanding more like who we are as characters and the fact that we can be different kind of people. We can be whoever we want to be. We can be the EST. We can be, the New Day, and we can come down and we can play trumpets and we can play, we can play different instruments and stuff. He's a theater kid and he's a band kid. You can be nerdy and that's cool. You can be a nerdy black kid and that's fine. You can dress up in Dragon Ball Z gear and not be made fun of. Or you could be dressed up in Dragon Ball Z gear and be made fun of, and that's what you be looking for. It's either way. So it's just the fact that we just kind of keep getting these little moments and getting these not even little moments, even big moments. Like not too long ago we had Sasha and Bianca in the main event of WrestleMania. Like that's pretty dope. So again, like I was kind of saying earlier, it feels like now we're really kind of starting to get the representation. Before it was cool, like they were like, I feel like it was just good enough for certain people just for them to have a black wrestler on the show, and that was it. But now it's the fact that like, okay, we have a black wrestler, but like this, they also had this character. They also do this. Not everybody's coming out to rap music. Somebody's coming out to Pantera, or somebody's come out to like Adelita's Way or something like that. Some rock that most people might not know about. But like, I'm coming out to Lil Nas X. Some people not really listen to Lil Nas X like that. You know, it's really just a kind of the fact that we can express ourselves in a way, it's just really kind of dope. You know, even every time I come out to the ring and they just kind of, cheer, that's a little something that kind of keeps me going or something that keeps me inspired, Uh, that's mainly who I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for the people. I'm doing it for myself also, but I'm mainly doing it for the people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can all have a good night and we can all go home at the end of the day, then I did my job, you know.
Yeah, I do think inspiration is important because I feel like with inspiration, inspiration can just be the blueprint to like you can do it too. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like you could do
yeah,
anything you set your mind to. So that's why I asked you, what inspired you, as far as like get into the sport from not only just your perspective, but from a black perspective, because
yeah,
you have a lot of I can definitely admit and say that the representation in professional wrestling as far as us, it has really picked up over the
yeah,
last maybe 2-3 years. It's really picked
yeah,
up.
yeah,
You know what I mean? The only thing that I have a gripe about is that, you know what I'm saying, it kind of started to pick up when almost like when WWE said, "Oh yeah, it's okay, you can do it." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And
yeah,
because WWE monopolizes the industry,
mm,
because I mean, not for nothing, most promotions have black wrestlers, but what I'm saying
yeah,
is that
yeah,
since WWE monopolizes everything, it's almost like they have to be the trendsetter to say it's okay. When really you don't really need their permission to do it, because if anything, 2-3 years ago, WWE barely had any representation there. You know what I'm saying? So it kind
yeah,
of shows you how much control, you know what I mean, WWE has over the landscape of wrestling, because a lot of people could just say what I just said, like, you know what I mean, once they started, then everybody started doing it, which in some cases is true and not true. But
mm,
what I'm saying is that mostly when you look at WWE and they started putting these black faces on TV, all of a sudden now everybody felt like it was okay to push their black athletes more, when really you didn't need their permission to do it. You just had to just go do it. And that's why I like Ashe so much, because Ashe is like one of a kind. Have you heard of Ashe?
yes, sir, yes, sir. I
Yeah.
know, the people. I know a good bit of people on Ashe, so yeah, those my people.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I like Ashe so much, because they're one of a
Yeah,
kind, and their representation to the fullest.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely think that's important. I just felt like ask you that. Usually my brother over
yes,
there
sir.
is usually the one to ask that question. So I say,
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask, from a certain perspective, and see where you would hit at with it. So I'm gonna tag my boy
no, I feel
back
that.
in. Yeah, I'm gonna tag my boy back in so he could keep it going.
Yes, sir.
Dang, bro, you stole. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was that question was eventually going. It was eventually going to get asked. It don't matter who asked it. You know what I'm saying? It's an
Yeah,
important question. I feel like it's a
yeah,
very important question because having representation means a lot. Like I remember
mm,
when I was growing up watching wrestling. I mean, it was Junkyard Dog, and then it was
mm,
Coco Beware and
yeah,
Papa Shango, and
yeah,
then they all kind of like started phasing themselves out, and then Papa Shango went to the Godfather, and so on and so forth, and then comes Ahmed Johnson. That's
yeah,
who captivated me, as Ahmed Johnson and Farouk.
yeah,
There's people
yeah,
like that. What I'm saying? So, you know, we saw who started it, and now it's like we're seeing guys like Obafemi getting his first
mm,
WrestleMania match against somebody like Brock Lesnar. And we all
yeah,
know Brock Lesnar is not going to face just anybody in his career. He agreed to face Obafemi, and that means a lot. And we all know who we want to win. Well, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Not even going to sugarcoat it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we all on the same side with that one.
Yeah. Definitely,
And
definitely.
then we got Trick Williams is getting a U.S.
Yeah,
title shot in
yeah,
his first WrestleMania. You
yeah,
know, then you brought up Javon Evans, somebody
yeah,
that is getting it. And on top of that, not only is Javon Evans' ladder match going to be on the ESPN app, but if you have cable TV, you have ESPN. Guess what's going to be on ESPN? That ladder match is going to be on ESPN
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. So that's another thing. Like, just like I said, like that's another. Not only is he going to be on WrestleMania, not only is he going to be on ESPN, the first hour is going to be on there for free. So everybody is going to be able to see him on another platform, a whole nother level. And you brought up Trick Williams. I didn't even think about him, but he's got Lil Yachty. That's another thing with representation. Like, uh I think it was like Carly Bravo was saying in an interview, like you were kind of saying, up until the last few years, the music, all rock. All either rock, country, something along that kind of, But now the last like 2 or 3 years, we've been getting the weekend. We had Flow Rider, but I'm not really gonna count Flow Rider. But we had, we had the weekend. We starting to get a little bit more like, hip hop music. We getting a little Yachty now. They kind of messed up with little, West Side Gun, but West Side Gun got his own promotion and he's always at TNA shows. And Swerve, is doing his whole thing with between mixing hip hop and wrestling on a whole nother level. Is just that's more of that representation. That's more of that stuff that makes us feel. And you talking about Ashe. These are these places where we feel safe. We feel like we belong when we're watching. When we're somewhere like Ashe or when we're doing stuff like that. So that's that representation that we need. It's nice being able to see not only just we're not even just getting black wrestlers, but we're getting hip hop artists and stuff like that too. We're getting Sexy Red, on all these NXT shows, So it's like a whole different level, and it's nice to see. It's good to see. It makes your heart feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you 100%. There was one question that I kind of missed that we were talking about people thinking that wrestling's fake. I wanted to kind of go back to that just real quick. What was your thoughts when you log into Netflix and you see WWE Unreal? What was your thoughts behind that?
I still haven't watched it to be honest with you, because that's like not my kind of. It's not like I don't keep up with stuff. It just seems a little extra. It seems kind of like we were saying earlier, unnecessary. Uh, and I don't. It's not a bad concept. I don't think it's a terrible concept, but I think it also just kind of gives people the range to be like, kind of like you said earlier, oh, it's fake, or even other people who think they kind of know everything that's going on, just for them to be like, see, I told you we knew everything that was going on because this is this, and this, and now they can just watch it and be like, usually you have to watch, or used to have to watch a podcast or listen to a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully one of the wrestlers would say something like that, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, so that's what happened. But now it's just kind of like they just tell you. And you know, I think part of the wrestling is like the mystery, not even necessarily not even necessarily like the mystery, but the fact that you can just kind of jump on the ride and have fun. Because I'm not a person that watches a whole lot of, like, I'm not going out of my way to see like the behind the scenes of like how the Avengers was made or something like that. You know, I'm not that type of person. I just rock with the movie because it's a good movie and I thought it was fun. Uh, so you know, being like a wrestler, I keep up with stuff, but seeing that like is kind of like, okay, like do your thing, y'all WWE. I can't tell y'all what to do. Y'all know a lot better than I do. But you know, at the end of the day, that's you know, it is what it is. But that's not my cup of tea. It's Spike Lee was.
Yeah, I feel that. I'll be honest with you. I watched like the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the first season of Unreal, and I'm like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm not gonna do it.
I feel, and like I thought about tapping into the second season because you know I know they were talking about a lot about R-Truth. I didn't even think about him. You know, I was talking about all these people that
Yeah,
kind of inspired me
yeah.
and stuff. You know, R-Truth was from where I'm from. You know, um, so seeing him, you know, I remember I went to Raw. My dad took me to Raw one time, and I saw him win the United States title, and I was lit. Like that was the end of the show for me. You know, I saw R-Truth win the title. That was all I needed to see. Uh, so like, is yeah, yeah. It's I feel like it's a good way to get it's a good content thing because I feel like we hadn't, you know, without the network, we hadn't been getting a whole lot of like unique WWE content like that. I just don't know if that's the type of content I want. You
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you said though. It's like it's good for content purposes, but
know?
if you're not going to make content over it, like it's a money grab. It's a way to let people behind the scenes, and I feel like to me it takes a lot. It removes a lot of the surprises that because who doesn't want to know what goes on backstage, but
Yeah,
I don't want to sit there and watch an entire TV show and have the TV show tell me. Like it's like you said,
yeah,
it used to be you would have to what was it, they had the WWE magazine, you could read the WWE magazine
yeah,
and they might give you little spoilers here and there inside the WWE
yeah,
magazine and stuff like that. But that's how I want to do it. I don't want to be able to log on Netflix and just see everything. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. It feels like you said. I feel like it takes just like a little bit away from it. You know, it don't feel the same.
No, no. Um, Now to fast forward a little bit. What is it about the state of North Carolina and the city of Charlotte when it comes to professional wrestling?
I That just kind of goes back to my point, like was saying, like you know that I feel like Sanctuary not getting the represent or not the representation, but the respect it deserves. You know, I feel like we producing so many top professional wrestlers. You know, over the last few years. You know, whether it's been George, you know, or it's been Kozon at Five Star, you know, whatever it's been, like we've been putting out hits, you know. We ain't been having too many misses. Uh, you know, you got Diego Hill, you got Bojack, you know, just all these great wrestlers, you know, that you know, another one of our mutual friends, Rayhan, you know, Rayhan Taez, you know, there's a lot of these great people in North Carolina, you know, and I'm just kind of lucky enough to be in Charlotte that are in the professional wrestling industry that I feel like people just don't know about because they either hadn't gotten a spotlight to show what they can do, or maybe you know they just don't have the access. Because I know that's another thing with wrestling nowadays is everybody's stuff is kind of behind a paywall, so now a lot of people don't necessarily want to pay for Disney Plus and ESPN Plus and Spotify and Apple Music and then pay for the wrestling subscription too. So so I feel like it's just kind of like they don't have access to these people or they just don't know that these people are here because I mean we're filled with just endless talent, you know. And that's just the black talent, you know. I just listed, you know, there's a whole lot of talent out there. You know, we got like Hood and shoot another black talent, Jordan Holt. I like Jordan Holt's one of my favorite wrestlers, you know. Like point blank period, you know, WWE TNA around the world, Jordan Holt's one of like my favorite. Um, so like we just have all these great wrestlers, and sometimes it's like, you know, dumb wrestling stuff that kind of gets in people's way. Um, but you know, I feel like if more people knew about these wrestlers, that they would be like, oh snap, I rock with, you know, Ian Maxwell, I rock with Yaya, I rock with Darius Lockhart, you know, I rock with these people that you know are from North Carolina, because we just, I don't, like you said, I don't know what it is, but it's something in the water. And like, you know, that's why I, you know, try to represent Sanctuary in the best way that I can, to try to show people like, hey, y'all kind of sleeping on us. You know, y'all need to give us that glory. Y'all need to give us that respect that we deserve, because we really out here putting out some of the best people in wrestling, like period. Like uh my boy Movie Mike, Joe Venisi, Zuka King, they all out in California, you know, doing their thing at the LA dojo. You know, it's so many people from the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina. You know, no hate to South Carolina. I I try not to go down there as much as I can. Uh, but you know, it's so many people, and it's not. I don't want to say it's a hidden gem. I just want to say people just ain't looking. You know, it's not like we hard to find. People just not looking. So it's something, you know. And shout out to the trainers too. People like, you know, JD Drake, people like Jake Manning, people like Caleb Conley, people like Cedric Alexander, people like George South. You know, who have helped train these people to become, you know, in Cozone, you know, LeBron Cozone, who trained the next generation and the next generation of wrestling uh, from North Carolina. It's crazy. And, you know, of course, it goes all the way up the top to like Charlotte Flair. You know, she is like the top. But, you know, from there down is nothing but talent, where no matter where you look from North Carolina. So can't, you can't just keep ignoring us. You got to acknowledge it at some point.
You know, shout out to Jordan Holt, man. Like he is, you know, we've had him on our show twice, once by himself and then once with the entire Ugly Gang. Let me tell you something, bro. You probably know this as well as anybody else. Them three together,
Yes, sir. I love them
they are
boys.
crazy.
I love, and them three. It's crazy because the three of them separate are so like crazy, but when they get together, shout out. I see you with the sticker.
Yeah, ugly gang.
But when they get together, it's something special. It's like one of those things that you can't replicate that. And I feel like that's just kind of one of those like black people things, you know, like they just kind of rock together like that. Like they cool like that.
Yeah.
And like
Definitely.
even outside of the ring, like, you know, I know all three of them outside of the ring, Zay, Jordan, and Rayhan. Like they tight like that outside of the ring too. That's not just like a hey, we walk to the ring together and then, you know, we get in the back and go our separate ways. No, they be going out and hanging out. You know, they be getting wings and stuff after the show. You know, they be hitting Waffle House after the show. You know, they tight like that.
That reminds me, I need to ask Rayhan if he ever got his empanadas from
Oh,
Zay's wife.
oh man, I did hear about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That yeah, we're gonna need the results of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I was saying like, and shout out to Jordan Holt because he's like, you know, out of all the wrestlers that we have talked to on our show, like he has been like our number one supporter. Whenever we putting something
Heck
out,
yeah.
he is one of the first ones to like repost it, to comment on it, to like it. So yeah, we owe Jordan Holt a lot. We really do.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Heck
for
yeah. Jordan's
sure.
good people, man. Jordan is good people.
Yeah, another person that we owe a lot of gratitude to is Odyssey. Odyssey, like when we had our when we had one of our inaugural episodes,
Yeah,
Odyssey
sir.
Jones was like literally sharing our stuff all over there
Heck
and
yeah.
shared it so much that Japan picked up our podcast
Yeah, I was
and they're
about to
like,
say.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another dude kind of doing his thing. You talking about representation. That's another dude, going to Japan. That's
mm-hmm,
something that I bet a lot of, people like me didn't even think they could do. But now,
mm-hmm,
like, you see people like him, and it's like, oh, okay, we can do stuff like that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah.
So speaking of that, what are some places that you would like to see yourself going to throw down some?
Uh, I definitely want to get back down to Georgia. It's been a minute since I've done that. Uh, Man, be honest with you, I want to go out west. I want to get like kind of Portland kind of area. I got some people out there. I think it'd be good to wrestle out there just to get a different perspective. I feel like kind of got that, or like some of my trainers, especially like George, kind of has that. I guess stigma like Southern style. Uh, and I do kind of wrestle kind of like, that kind of style, not exactly, but just to get more experience and wrestle people in a different area, just to wrestle different people who think differently, wrestle people you know, who move different, you know, not even just from like a point of like the moves they do, but just the way that they interact with people or the way that they walk to the ring or something like that. Everything is a presentation, from the second you walk out that curtain to the second you walk back. So just being able to pick different people's minds and stuff like that would be cool, especially in a different area like that. I'm really just trying to go everywhere, but those are kind of like my main, I guess, focuses right now. Um, Because I want to get out of the Carolinas. I love the Carolinas, but I feel like I need to get out to be able to like I said, my main goal in mind is to bring the most respect back to Charlotte as I can. So I feel like the only way I can really do that is if I can get out and get to different places and let them know, hey, this is what we got to offer. Um, yeah,
Are you opposed to Northern California?
no, I'm not opposed at all.
We need to see if we can get him in touch with Mr. Allen, because
Yeah,
Mr.
yep.
Allen, we actually are good friends with a guy on TikTok, Mr. Allen Smith. He's an older wrestler, professional wrestler,
Yeah.
and he also helps run a wrestling company in Northern California.
Okay.
Um, I I will. One of us will reach out to him on your behalf if you don't mind. If you don't mind us
Yeah. Go
doing
go
it,
right ahead. Go right ahead.
we'll reach we'll reach out to him on your behalf and see if we can get some information. And then once me or him get some information, we'll forward it right over to you. And then it's like we're down to help any way we can, man. We
Yeah, I
really are.
appreciate that, man.
Mm-hmm,
I really
mm-hmm.
appreciate that. That's y'all cool people. I just say that. Y'all, I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Nah,
Yeah,
this is what we
yeah,
do.
man.
We do this on a
Yeah,
regular. So,
yeah,
it's nothing for us to extend the olive branch and you know what I mean, connect people. We do that so much,
yeah.
is what it I feel like it's what we should be doing, you know what I'm saying, as a community.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for sure. I feel like it's not enough of that. And some of it, I know some of it comes sometimes, you put people on and you might not get the result that you was hoping for, but I feel like, the only people that's gonna help us is us, at the end of the day. The only people that's gonna put us on is us. So that's, we gotta stick together.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I'll I'll reach out to Mr. Allen and because I know he did mention about trying to look for some more people to work with for some upcoming events. So I'll reach
Sir.
out to him and let him know. You know what I mean? He's real
Very
cool
much
people. He's real down to earth guy.
word.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can actually find. We've already had him on the show, so if you want to just listen
Okay.
to him, just see what he's kind of about. He's the
Yeah.
episode is on our Spotify if you don't want to watch it, or it's on YouTube. We have everything on YouTube or
Cool.
Spotify. So yeah, like just see what he's about, and like I said, one of
Yes,
us will reach
sir.
out to him on your behalf. But and you know what really piqued my interest on that was the fact that you said that
Mm,
you want to go out west. I'm like, hold on, we
yeah.
know somebody out west,
Yeah.
so
That's
it
definitely
works out.
yeah, that's I very much appreciate that. And let's see, that's all you never would have known. I never would have known that if we hadn't never had this interaction. So, that's we just gotta reach out to more people, man. We gotta, like you said, we gotta look out for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, and nobody's gonna look out for us better than we look out for us. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I feel
Exactly.
like we are in this together. We
Exactly.
could easily shell out. We could easily shell out the extra money to interview these WWE or AEW or TNA, some of these bigger stars. But when me and him first started this, we felt like it was important to get some of the wrestlers on here that may not get the same amount of recognition that they deserve. So and we're looking at it as, yeah, we'll have some different ethnicities on here. We've had, Alex Evans on here, we've had yeah, we've had different people on here, but our main goal is to represent us too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can help you in any way get to where you want to be, hey, you better believe we're gonna try.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that. I know it's not a whole lot of people out there like that. So when you do get somebody like that, you gotta appreciate them, for what they were. So thank y'all. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, most definitely. One of us will definitely reach out to him and see what he says. And like I said, once we get all the information, we'll forward it over to you, and y'all can get connected.
Word, that sounds good.
Go ahead, Bars.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about finishers.
Word.
So, question I have for you. Your finisher seems to require incredible explosive power. Walk us through a split second decision making process. When do you know the perfect window is open to hit it, and what's going through your mind in that final moment of execution?
Man, that's a good question. Uh, so, oh man, usually there's a certain look in their eyes that I'd be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Usually I don't hit it all the time. Usually I hit a nice little slap to the right. Well, I guess it's the left side since I'm right-handed. Uh, and usually that'll rock them pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to scoop them up for the crowning moment. That's my little finish. If y'all don't
Mm-hmm.
know. But it's honestly just a hope and a dream, to be honest with you. Because sometimes I'll go for it multiple times. Even if I might not necessarily think it's time to hit it. I just want to gauge where we at. Sometimes I want, maybe sometimes you might be able to hit it early. You never know. You never know unless you try.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'm just trying to win. So if I can go ahead and get that win in quick, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually once I hook them, there's a like a lightness to them, I guess. That lets me know, like, all right, I done my job good enough. I can scoop them up. Because if they can resist, that first initial scoop, I'm kind of out of luck. Um, But sometimes I scoop them up. They might slip behind me. They might hit me with something. Hit me with a knee. They might drop me with a DDT because the way gravity work and momentum, they got it with them. So they get the best of me. But sometimes, I'm just trying to get them down. Usually, if I can get them down to a knee, I'm like, all right, bet I can hook them.
Mm-hmm.
If they still got the power and the strength to stand up on 2 feet, I might be tripping. I might not need to go for it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I need to hook the leg. So if they have as much leg strength as possible, they usually try to hook that left leg too. So if they have as much leg strength as possible, then it's kind of hard to go for it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been watching a lot of Ric Flair lately, so I can get my leg, submissions down and my leg targeting down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so just to help with that hook just a little bit more, because if I can weaken that leg and I can hook it just right, I can get them up. So usually that's what I'm looking for is that weakness in their legs. You starting to get a little bit more tired. Your strike's starting to not hit as hard. The your sweat is starting to hold you down, and your hair's getting in your face. Your legs getting weak. That's usually when I can scoop them up. Usually I can find me one more, and that's again like I was saying. That's when I go back to the crowd, and that really kind of helps me later in the match, give me that extra energy I need to get them up and drop them on their head. Um, so that's why it's the crowning moment. I want you to have your crowning moment, but at the same time, I'm gonna drop you on the crown in your head. So, uh, if I can get your legs a little bit weak, that's all I need. That's all I need.
So that leads me to my next question. Has there been some point in your career where because all right, so let me put it like this. Finishing moves at times are protected depending on the character or the storyline. Has there
Mhm.
been points in your career where your finishing move has been protected or points in your career where they actually kicked out of your finishing move for you to try something else to defeat them?
Oh man. Usually. Man, so I'll be honest with you. You talking about Jordan Holt? I think Jordan Holt's the main one that kind of sticks out. Because for a while I was doing my kneecapitation as a shining wizard. So
Mm-hmm.
I was getting my knee strikes in, and we had a match. It was a couple years ago, probably 2024, January 2024,
Mm-hmm.
at Lenny Boy for the XWW United States title. It's
Mm-hmm.
five way. And it came down to me and Jordan Holt. I hit him with that knee capitation and I pinned him. I thought that was it. He kicked out. I was like, oh man, all right, well, I gotta do something else. That was the first time I busted out the crowning moment. And again, that was a big moment, US title match. That was my first kind of title. So I was like, I gotta bust out something big for this one. Much
Mm-hmm.
respect to Jordan. I ain't want to drop on his head, but I had to do what I had to do. I was trying to win once again. Uh, so uh, that's one of the main people I think that's really kicked out of one of my finishes. I don't have a whole lot of people I think that's really kicked out of my finisher like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think Jordan Hope might be like one of the only like ones to really kick out like that. And that was the first night I hit the crowning moment. So that was the first night that I need to hit something, and I had it in my back pocket for a little while. I was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of waiting for the right moment to hit it. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of felt like the right moment to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially not only did Jordan have his crowning moment, I had my crowning moment, when I won the belt. So I think he's much respect to him. I don't think many people have kicked out of much of my finishes or my moves like that. So he real. That's real.
Do you? All right. So let me phrase the question like this:
Yeah.
What do you rate your move set from a scale of 1 to 5? What's the highest as far as rating your move set? That includes the two moves that you just mentioned and any other move set that you have to your arsenal that you have not displayed. What do you rate them? 1 to 5.
You want me to do each move individually or like as a whole? Move set as a whole.
Nah, individually.
Okay. Uh shot, let's see, kneecapitation, I'd probably say it lost a little bit of its strength. It ain't as strong as it used to be. I think it's because people kind of know it's coming now. I'd probably say that's like a 3 or a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's something quick and easy to hit, once they drop down to a knee. I don't even necessarily need them to drop down to a knee. I could usually hit it on them if they were standing up. It's just usually a little bit easier to hit them while they're on their knee because it's a little bit less work on my end.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll probably do like 3, 4. Crowning moment definitely got to be a 4 or 5. That's the end all be all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Kensuke Sasaki. That's the dude that really kind of got me to start doing that. He's the first person. He's the first person I saw do it. I know he one of the first people to do it. I know he one of the first. I think Akira Hokuto might have been the first one to do it. I might be tripping on that. But that's the one. I do a sling blade. I gotta get out of 4. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't have too many moves. I'm like, don't nobody do that like me. But that sling blade, I promise you, ain't nobody hitting that like me. It's smooth. It's like butter every time. Um, I don't care how small you are. You be, 195 pounds. It ain't gonna be better than mine. Just let you know right now. I was talking about Ric Flair, so I'd be getting my chops on. That's probably like like a 2. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
it get the job done. It loosen them up. It get them hurt. I can keep them at a good little distance. I don't have to. It don't take a whole lot of effort on my end. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
chopping. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking my hand and hitting you in the chest and stopping your heart for a quick second.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I got one move I ain't pulled out yet. I don't know whether I probably rank that like a 4 or 5, probably like a 4. Um, I ain't hit it yet. I might have to hit it this weekend. I ain't too sure yet. We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but those are kind of my main kind of moves right there. Um, Butterfly suplex. I love a good butterfly suplex. I hit that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a George special. And then the exploder suplex. I love hitting suplexes. I love me and Movie Mike been talking about this, but I love like throwing people. Like we both just been kind of getting into the routine of just picking somebody up and just tossing. So if I can suplex you, that's a good day. You know what I'm saying? If I can, if it's, I hit a half and half, I hit an exploder, I hit a German. If I can scoop you and get my hips lower than yours, that's a good day to me. Shout out to my amateur wrestling days. But yeah, those are probably my top moves.
Okay. Okay. Dub, tag in, brother.
So, with your move set and your skill set, out of the two bigger promotions that we have out there right now, where does Bobby Ballantyne see himself?
Oh man. Uh, I'll be honest with you. Out of the two, probably like a AEW probably fit me more better. More specifically, I think like a Ring of Honor or something like that would be a little bit better. If we open it up a little bit, I'd probably say like a TNA or like a Ring of Honor would probably be like my. I feel like those would be good spots for me. For me to be able to showcase my stuff and show who I am, and still get a good little spotlight at the same time. Um, you, it's a lot of people out there that's wrestling. It's a lot of people out there on TV that's wrestling. So to be able to give me a good little spot, I think that'd be I think those would be my two little spots, like a Ring of Honor, like a TNA. Those have kind of always been big fans of both of those promotions. So I feel like that'd be kind of cool, being able to wrestle for AEW, but like wrestle for Ring of Honor, I think would be real cool.
What is it about, in your eyes, what is it about AEW and Ring of Honor over WWE/TNA? Because we all know TNA and WWE have their
Yeah,
working relationship going right now. So what is it about AEW/Ring of Honor over the other two?
I think it's just a style thing. Like, I think regardless, it's like a TV style. Everybody has a TV style, but I think at the end of the day, I think they just kind of have a different mindset of what not only the wrestling that they want to present, but like the wrestlers they want to present. And I know the wrestling kind of goes with that, but like how they want their talents to be showcased on their shows. Um, and I feel like that kind of style or that kind of presentation would just kind of fit my presentation a little bit more. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. It's funny because a lot of the other guys that we have spoke to on here, they've actually chose WWE because they
Really.
feel like WWE tells a better story in ring and outside the ring than AEW does. So to hear from the other way around is kind of intriguing because
I feel that.
maybe it's just a nostalgia thing for the other people like WWE because everybody wants to end up in WWE one way or another, So I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because we watch both of them.
For
so.
sure. Yeah. And I think part of that is also kind of goes back to my trainer, like George, like when we were training, he kind of like put that in us, like, WWE like is like, the place, but that's not like the end all be all. Like you can still do something outside of WWE, and now with something like AEW popping up, it's kind of cool. And I kind of agree. WWE usually does a little bit more story stuff, but that doesn't mean that AEW can't do story stuff, or doesn't do story stuff. And not knock to the people that chose WWE or nothing like that. But yeah.
No, absolutely. And so let's say you were to end up in AEW/Ring of Honor. What are some dream matches that you could see yourself in?
Man, Eddie Kingston is somebody who was always, dope to me. Anybody with a little bit of weight on them that's not just a regular type of person, and they don't just necessarily like how people talk to them and stuff like that. I kind of rock with. So Eddie Kingston would be somebody pretty cool. Willie Mack is another one. You talk about inspiration. That's a big indie inspiration for black wrestlers, of all types. He's been doing it for a long time. AR Fox is another one, and that's another school, it's not here in North Carolina, but down in Georgia. I know he's doing the WWA 4 thing. I'm pretty sure that's still open. I think so. But that's another, like, kind of, I guess, patriarchy, like indie wrestling, for as far as like black men go. As those are just kind of I feel like they have a lot of people like that, like the Willie Max or the Leo Rushes or the I don't think of other people. Shoot, even Sean Dean. I wrestled Sean Dean a couple years ago. I need to get my rematch on that, so that'd be nice. I know him and Carly and Shane Taylor Promotions is doing their thing. I might have to grab me a little tag partner and run that back. That'd be nice. It's so many talents that they have right now that I feel like I just be like blessed to be able to wrestle. And not saying, it wouldn't be the same thing WWE, but I feel like it would mean something different in Ring of Honor to be able to wrestle, or AEW to be able to wrestle people like that, like Swerve, another one who's on the Indies for a long time and grinding out and doing his thing, and then he finally made it. Um, he get the chance to show what he could do. Those are just a few of them. It's a lot of people there that I feel like makes it over. Scorpio Sky. There's another one. I know that's a big guy out west. He's big out west. That was his kind of territory. Um, it's just so many talent. That they have. They'd just be like, as a wrestler and as a black wrestler, it'd be like an honor to wrestle. No pun intended, but it'd be an honor.
What about how about wrestling as a whole? Wrestling as a whole, what are some dream matches with the company doesn't matter. What are some dream matches that you could see yourself in?
Let's see. Any company. Oh, WWE, more like NXT actually. Saquon Sugars. That's another dude that was here. That I
Another
didn't
North
get to
Carolina guy,
wrestle him.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I didn't get to. I wrestled with him one time, but I didn't get to wrestle against him. So that'd be a cool dude to be able to wrestle. TNA, I had to say, like Cedric would be cool. I never wrestled Cedric. Had a couple of my people that have wrestled him. That he done trained, that he wrestled them, but he ain't wrestled me yet. I'll put that on me. He said we've been messing up. I'll put that on me. That's all. That's on my end. Cedric would be dope. Of course, like a Leon would be cool. Kevin Knight, TNT champion. That'd be a real cool dude to be able to wrestle. Super athletic. I feel like with my power, that'd be a nice little mix up. Movie Mike, that's one of my dudes. He out west doing his thing right now. I always like wrestling him. Every time I wrestle. Like I said, Willie Mack. I feel like Willie Mack is somebody that's kind of like, been kind of influential, on me as a bigger, black guy that's been on the indies, from Lucha Underground to, he got signed to WWE and things ain't work out, but he found his place in AEW and Ring of Honor. That's another dude that I would just love to just wrestle one time, just for the sake of saying I got to wrestle Willie Mack. He's somebody that's kind of really, that's a big deal, especially on the indies. I feel like that's a really big one. I feel like Willie Mack is a big one I'd probably have, just to be honest.
What about I'm gonna throw this one out there to you. Keith Lee.
Oh man. I love Keith Lee, and I know he kind of got some health stuff going on, and that was kind of another person I was thinking about, with representation and stuff, because he talked a little bit different. He didn't just talk kind of wild. He talked a little bit more eloquently than some people talk. But that would be awesome to be able to wrestle Keith Lee. He'd probably throw me around a couple times. But then, I probably have to go after his leg, and I hit him with a couple chops. The first couple ones probably ain't gonna hurt. But once I get to around about 9 or 10, they probably gonna start hurting. And if I just keep chopping, eventually the tree just gonna go down. So that would be a dope match to have.
Yeah, I would like to see that one. I would like to see if we can get Keith Lee back in the ring. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
That'd be dope. That'd be beautiful. That would be beautiful.
Shout out to Keith Lee.
Yeah, man.
What? I haven't asked this question in a very long time. I don't think I've asked this question since we had Jocelyn Navarro on our show.
Yeah.
So, What is Bobby Ballantyne's Waffle House order?
Oh man, that's crazy. Because I was talking with Jordan Ho earlier, and I told him I might have to go to Waffle House. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I usually do the All Star Special. Uh, Chocolate chip waffle. I usually do double hash browns, bacon, and I usually do a sweet tea. I usually do sweet tea with my Waffle House. Uh, that's
You
my
ain't
order. That's my
like sweet
go-to.
tea.
Yeah, got to. So that's my go-to. Sometimes I don't usually switch it up. It's usually that's just what I go. That's my go-to every time. It don't miss. Sometimes the toast. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes if somebody from Waffle House is watching this, y'all be tripping on the toast. Sometimes y'all just be putting butter on some bread and that be it. But I take it because I understand this Waffle House. I ain't trying to start no problem. Uh, but yeah, that's the wave for me,
So what does a pre-match ritual look like for you?
man. Uh, I feel like I'm a little bit weird, not even like weird in like some crazy way, but just like I just like to kind of be by myself. Because I don't know. I guess it's just me getting in the zone. Usually I just kind of find a little spot to myself. I do a couple stretches. I had shoulder surgery a couple years ago. So, I usually try to make sure my shoulders all nice and good. I usually try to make sure my quads and my legs is all nice and stretched out. Um, I usually go somewhere and just kind of like sit for a minute, just because I know I'm gonna be standing for a little while. So I just like sit in a chair for about like a minute, just kind of chill. Don't even think, just sit there, no stretching, no nothing, just sitting there and let my mind be free. Um, and it's usually like right before I get up and go wrestle. Usually I just take that like minute before and just kind of chill, and then you know deactivate my brain and then reactivate my brain when the music hits. Uh, so any type of like way to meditate a little bit for is easy as it is to meditate at a wrestling show. Try to get a little like minute of calm and peace in my life before I go out there and do my thing.
Any particular style of music that you would prefer to listen to?
Uh, so I listen to like some like rock, some type like heavy stuff, something to get my blood pumping. So like I don't have my Apple Music on me, so I can't look at my playlist right now. But like I be throwing really anything like Walk by Pantera, shout out to RVD, that's a good one to
Mm.
have on. Even like I watch a lot of anime, so like some of the anime shows and stuff, like they just get me hyped because they just be lit. And I don't know what they be saying, but I like the beat is lit and the words that they saying seem like it go to the music, so I'm rocking with it. So it's usually one of the two. It's usually either like some rock music, um, and not usually like nothing like Skillet or nothing like that. I need something like heavy, um, or like some anime or something like that. Because like my music already got some kind of like hip hop feel to it, so I want to listen to something different before I come out. Um, so those are mainly the main two like genres I try to throw in before I go out to the ring.
I never really saw myself listening to Pantera and bands like that until I joined the army. And then
Yeah.
that's what everybody was listening to. Even the black
Mm-hmm.
guys was listening to Pantera and Metallica and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And then I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? This is not bad music to listen to, especially when I'm getting ready to run a two miles or longer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. When you
So
getting ready to
now
put in something, like put in some type of work, that's a good little hype before you get started.
it really is. I never saw that, but lo and behold, here we are. This is something
Yeah.
that I can listen to uh, as I'm getting ready to work out or whatever the case may be. Something
Hmm.
that's going to be something that I'm going to be really focusing on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen to that. Go ahead, Bars. It's on you.
Okay, so I got like maybe two more questions, and then I'll be good to go.
Word.
So my next question is: great wrestlers often talk about listening to the crowd. Is there a specific subtle cue you pick up from a live audience that tells you it's time to shift gears from being on defense to launching a massive comeback? What does the sound feel like?
It's it's usually like a little slow start, if that, like it's usually one or two people would kind of understand, like, oh snap, Bobby's like getting back into it. I might be getting beat up for a little bit, but I might hit him with something real quick, hit him with a little clothesline, hit him with a quick little suplex or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And usually people will start to get into it and be like, oh snap, this is when he needs us. Usually they just chant my name. And to be honest with you, that's like the best thing ever. Is just people just chanting my name. Just a room full of people chanting Bobby is
Mm-hmm.
just dope as hell. Uh, so that's usually what it is. And it's usually like sometimes they'll clap, but usually just them chanting my name is what it is. Um, and even the crowd, some crowds ain't necessarily the best with clapping, and that's cool. You can just say, there's certain people can't keep rhythm, but if you can just say my name along with everybody else, that's fine, and everything work out just fine. And again, we all feel like we on the same team at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of that's kind of what it is. Once they start chanting my name, that's really when I kind of start feeling it and kind of start getting into it because that's just kind of like you said, it's that gladiator type of sport. So that's just kind of like my it's not my necessarily war cry, but that's my war cry from my people. Them saying my name, them chanting my name, and trying to get me back on my feet,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to sitting there and clapping something and not even like saying it. They might just sit there and clap. People don't even really do that. They just kind of chant my name and go off of that. And that's just kind of like it's like a drum. You kind of hear the drums and you kind of feel it in your chest a little bit. Or somebody playing with something with some bass and you kind of feel that thing. That's what I like. I like feeling. I like for people to feel like I was saying earlier, I like them to feel what I'm feeling. I want them to feel something. I don't want them to just see something. I need them to experience that. Um, so that's usually what it is. It's like a mutual feeling. Like, okay, if y'all feeling that, I'm feeling it. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I didn't know if I asked you this question, but I'm gonna just ask you now.
Or,
Uh, we usually talk about, how the wrestlers will have their dream opponent. Is there anybody within your realm that is a young upstart right now? We're not talking about guys that got like, a plethora of experience like yourself, like 10,
yeah.
15 years, whatever. Like, we talking about a young upstart who just gets it. Is there anybody like that within your realm that you could see yourself facing in the near future?
Uh, yeah, it's a young in here named DJ Springs. That's another 5-star kid. He's real good. And again, like you saying, he's real young. He's only been wrestling 2, 3 years maybe.
Mm, okay.
Um, So he's doing his thing, all XWW Firestar, everywhere he's going, he's turning up. Younger named Duke Patterson. I've been riding with him to shows. He's a funny dude, man. He make me feel old sometimes because I kind of he a little bit younger than me, so I kind of feel that age gap. But he kind of like my little cousin or like my little brother, you know. It'd be cool to step in the ring with him. Um, see, Jaquan McNair, that's another younger, from this area, and seeing him, do his thing, seeing him start, and then being able to be picked up for the WWEID, and he's on Evolve, and he's on wrestling on shows, WrestleMania this weekend, doing WWEID matches and stuff like that. That's dope to see. That'd be another dude I'd be glad to get in the ring with. Those are probably the main ones. Um, there's another youngin named Brino. He's been wrestling a little bit longer than the other ones, but that's like another one that's like my cousin. I'd like to get in the ring with him too. Those would be dope. Those would be some cool ones.
Okay. Do you so let me ask you this then. Where do you see yourself as far as a athlete in the next, let me say, 5-10 years from now? Do you see yourself continually to be active in the ring, or do you see yourself like transitioning into like a backstage role, or maybe you see yourself being a manager? Where do you see yourself in the next, 10 to 15 years?
I'll be honest with you. I like a backstage role and something that's kind of popped in my head before that I thought about. So I think being able to do something like that, or like being able to help, like, coach people, being like an agent or a coach, I think would be something pretty cool for me. Probably more like that'd probably be more like close to like 10-year type of deal, maybe. 5 years, I hope to still be kicking and going. Hopefully I brought a little bit more attention, a little bit more glory, a little bit more respect back to the sanctuary, back to the queen. And I can use that not only to broaden my name, but more importantly, to broaden the name of Sanctuary and broaden the name of Charlotte and what Charlotte can bring to the wrestling world. But yeah, I really think like being a coach or an agent at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when I can't go no more, when I'm tired of taking them bumps and tired of hitting that rope, I think that would be something cool to do. I helped train a few youngins down here. I'm wrestling one of them tomorrow, so I think that's kind of I think would be the end goal. That'd be pretty cool. Be able to take something that people taught me, especially people that came before me, taught me, and to be able to feel like I can help or contribute and give back. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Dub, the floor is yours.
Well, we ain't got too much time left. I got my little fella over here done fell asleep on me.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's why I dipped off. That's why I dipped off, because I kept hearing my kids like doing something or whatever, even though my wife is home, but I kept hearing something, so I dip off real quick and see what was what. But yeah, we good.
All right. So I want to hear your first off. I want to get this first. Do you prefer to work as a heel or a babyface?
It's crazy because I feel like not a whole lot of people would say this, but I usually work pretty good as a babyface. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie.
What's funny about that? Trayvon Ali said the exact same thing. He was the first person out of everybody we've asked that said babyface, and now you say a babyface. So what is it about being a babyface over a heel?
I don't even. And don't get me wrong, I got my times where I'm not necessarily the nicest person to be around, but I feel like I can just be my goofy, jovial self, um, and not feel like I'm having to like, and not even like I had to force, 'cause, you know, the wrong person say the wrong thing to me, you know, I can start turning up, but usually that it's something about that connection with the people. It's something about that. And you know, I feel like even when you're a bad guy, you still got a certain connection with the people, but this is different, you know. Kind of like I said, it's more of a like it's a us versus who I'm wrestling type of thing, not just a me versus my opponent. I feel like I'm like carrying my people on my back with me. You know, that's why I got my name Ballantyne on the back, you know. The area I live in is the Ballantyne area. So you know, by my name being Bobby Ballantyne, I feel like ain't no better way than to put the team on my back and to put put my literal city on my back like that. Uh, so it's literally just trying to do my thing. You know, like I said, it's all for Sanctuary, it's all for the Queen, it's all for Charlotte, North Carolina. That's the main thing is representing not only my people, but representing the city, you know, the land, the everything. You know, you know, my people, you know, not just people of Charlotte, but, you know, black people don't put a lot of effort into this stuff, you especially this town. I feel like a lot of people don't know about that. So being able to be like a continuation of that to me is just real cool. So I feel like being a babyface just kind of gives me that opportunity to do that a little bit.
So, with that being said, let me hear your top 5 of all time. I was going to say current, but of all
Okay.
time baby faces.
Oh man. No particular order, but I'm gonna throw. Oh man, I'm gonna throw Macho Man on there. I gotta throw Macho Man on there. I love Macho Man. I'm always a big up Macho Man guy. Um, Especially like WCW type era when he first pulled up. That Macho Man was on a whole nother level. Um, if I'm gonna stick with WCW, I'm gonna have to go with Sting just because I feel like Sting was a different type of baby face. It wasn't the type of dude that was coming out. He wasn't like, you know, on the Hulk Hogan where he's coming out and saying like, you know, be the best person you can be or something like that. You know, he was coming out there, he was dropping out the ceiling, he was just beating people up. And you know, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's all you need. You just need somebody to get in there to handle business. You don't need somebody to get in there and tell you that everything's gonna be okay and to keep looking up and the sun is gonna come out eventually. Sometimes you just need to get somebody to go in there and put hands on people, and that's what he did. Um, and going with that, you know, Stone Cold is another one. You know, the fact that he was especially in that time, you know, that area of time where, you know, the I guess gap between the working class and the they're like bosses and stuff, I guess felt a little bit more, you know, wider. He was a real, you know, real representation of the people. Like they didn't just like him, you know, they felt what he was feeling. Like, yo, I don't like you, right? I don't like my boss. I wish I could just go in there and beat my boss up. I wish I could sit here and throw my drink on my boss in the middle of the day. Like, I wish I could do stuff like that. And I think like being able to have somebody that the people can cheer, but isn't probably necessarily just like the good old hugging babies and kissing fat girls type of person, you know, is a
Hold
dope
on,
thing.
Hold on.
There's a reason
Hold
I
on.
said that. There's a reason I said
Okay.
that. Because the next person I was gonna say was John Cena. Because John Cena always, you know, top. That's got to be number one. That's probably number one if we being honest. I don't think there's one better than John Cena. Especially because you know, it was a good bit of time, especially when I was growing up, where you know people were not rocking with John Cena, which you know completely understandable. You know, when you were younger, you were like, yo, why y'all hate no? But when you get older, it's like, okay, I see why y'all didn't. I see why y'all was mad.
Yeah.
But for him to be able to be somebody who wasn't just like, you know, that representation, he was that, you know, hey, at the end of the day, it might be dark, but the sun gonna come out. You know, if you do everything you can do at the end of the day, if you try your best, everything gonna be okay. And that was who he was, and that just kind of, you know, that it worked. You know, he was a good person out of the ring too. You know, he's, you know, fulfilled the most make a wish wishes, you know, that there ever was. You know, he's a good babyface, not only inside the ring but outside the ring. He's a good representation of a company. You know, you can put him on a TV show, you can put him on a poster or a magazine, and that's gonna be good publicity. You know, yeah, I'm gonna go number 5. Man, let's see. Feel like I did a lot of older ones. I feel like I probably need somebody a little bit more recent. Man, I don't want to say Punk. I mean, he's cool. I like Punk, but I don't want to say he top 5. Uh, that's hard. I go Jeff Hardy. I love Jeff Hardy, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I'm gonna go Jeff Hardy. You know, uh, the 2008. You know, everybody say he was bigger than Obama. That was yeah, yeah. I ain't me and Bobby B does not stand for that. But you know, he was definitely on top of his game in 2008. But I definitely think he was one that again was one of those people that was just kind of himself. He was weird, but you know, he did his thing. He didn't care he was weird. He's like, yo, I'm weird. That's cool. I don't care. And if y'all weird, then that's cool. We can all be weird together. And that's kind of the I definitely got to throw him at number 5. I feel like he definitely captured that kind of outcast, not outcast, but kind of outcast kind of audience. You know, the people that felt kind of left out, or the people that felt like they didn't fit in. You know, like the oh, I got tattoos, or the people that had weird hair, or, you know, the kids that might have been like, you know, I'm not black enough to hang out with the black kids, or I'm not white enough to hang out with the white kids. You know, just different people like that. You know, just type of individuals that felt like they weren't who society, I guess, necessarily wanted them to be, but they could be themselves. You could be yourself through the party. So I throw him at the end.
Nothing wrong with that. Few more quick hitting questions. If you could describe Bobby Ballantyne in one word, what would that be?
I was gonna say goofball, but I feel like that's not necessarily the entire like compensation of who I am. But I will say that there was a guy on commentary that called me a lovable goofball, and I feel like that was a pretty good description of who I was. Um, I guess just like authentic, like I'm me. Like, you know, I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm literally just trying to be me. You know, I'm from Charlotte. I was born in Charlotte, and I'm gonna tell everybody about that. I'm gonna represent Charlotte from now to the day I start wrestling to the day I die. You know, so it's me. You know, when you get Bobby Ballantyne, you getting Bobby Ballantyne. You're not getting like some interpretation of what Bobby Ballantyne is supposed to be. No, like that's just me. That's me turned up to 11. You know, that's not me putting on somebody else's outfit and trying to be them. You know, I'm just trying to be Bobby B.
If you could call out any wrestler, who is it and why?
Caleb Conley. I know he probably not gonna watch this, but Caleb Conley, because Caleb Conley likes to claim that he is from Charlotte, North Carolina. And there's a lot of wrestlers here that claim that they from Charlotte, North Carolina, that ain't necessarily from Charlotte, North Carolina. But Caleb Conley is the one that I need to call out, I feel like, the most. Because I feel like it's okay for you to not be from Charlotte. You can still be, one of us. You still be one of the people in Sanctuary. But I feel like some of these people, I ain't gonna name no other names besides Caleb Conley, that is using the name of Sanctuary and the name of Charlotte, North Carolina for their benefit and not for the benefit of this city. And that's something that I just don't rock with. That's something I can't appreciate. And there's a couple mugs from New York that said they from Charlotte. I ain't gonna name no names. There's a couple mugs from Georgia that say they from Charlotte. I ain't gonna name no names. But Kayla Conley is one of them mugs that's from Georgia that claim to be from Charlotte. And I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like y'all just kind of using the name of the city to advance y'all, make y'all feel a little bit more important. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But Caleb Conley, you definitely doing that. Yeah, Caleb Conley definitely doing that. There's a couple other ones. Just putting y'all on notice right now. Let y'all know. I know y'all. I know where y'all really from. I know y'all.
Bro, soon as I asked that question, it rolled right. It was no pause. It was no pause.
I've been ready for that one. I've been ready for that one. That's it's one thing, again, like I said, everybody can be, you don't have to be from here to be one of our people from Sanctuary. All I'm saying is, I think some of y'all is trying to use the name Sanctuary to make y'all seem more important. And that's it. Kayla Conley, you especially doing that. I'm just saying Kayla Conley because he white. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a couple of y'all, you know what I'm talking about. They ain't from here. Saying y'all from here. So I just want y'all to know that when it happened, when I bring it up, I don't want y'all to be surprised.
Okay, so I was gonna skip this one, but I'm gonna ask you this one. Say one thing to Caleb Conley. So hold on, real quick.
Go ahead.
The question says, say one thing to your next opponent. But I cut out the next opponent because I'm a pot stirrer. I like to stir the pot.
I do too.
I like to stir the pot.
I like that. Caleb, I'm just going to slap the mess out you. You already know that. I'm just going to keep it like that. And keep it nice and clean. Yeah, I'm going to slap the taste out your mouth. I think we both already know this. One day it's going to happen. One day you're going to stop ducking and dodging me. And when that day comes, I ain't got nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be what it is. I just want you to know it's coming. That's your warning. That's all I got to say.
We had to send it off with a diabolical laugh because
I had to ask it after he said Caleb Conley's name just rolled right off the tongue when I asked that question.
Oh, yeah.
I had to ask that one. I just had to.
Oh yeah, I've been keeping on to that one for a minute. So, and
So
Caleb knows too.
With that being said, tell us what happens when Caleb Conley steps in the ring with Bobby Ballantyne.
It's gonna be a good match. I ain't gonna front. Caleb Conley been wrestling for a long time. Caleb Conley, like Cedric, was another one of those people that I first saw when I was getting into indie wrestling, especially here in North Carolina. Kayla helped train me. I appreciate all that. That's cool. I appreciate all the rolls. I appreciate all the bumps and teaching me how to hit the rope and all that. But I mean, when we getting in there, I got to represent, and I got to let these people know the difference between somebody that claim they from Sanctuary and somebody that's actually from Sanctuary. We don't wrestle the same. We don't fight the same. We don't get down the same. So I need them to see the real way that somebody from my area wrestles. And no disrespect, but no respect. I'm gonna have to beat his ass. It's plain and simple. Because at the end of the day, I got to let him know that the sanctuary is that's mine. That's my town. That's my area. That's my home. That's my sanctuary. That's why I call it sanctuary. That's mine. And you can be here, but you got to stop acting like you from here. When you come out to the ring and they say from, especially when we wrestling, when I'm in that ring and they say from, I don't want to hear from Charlotte, North Carolina. If Caleb Colley is coming to wrestle me and I'm in the ring, he better be from Atlanta, Georgia, because that's where he's from. He might live in Charlotte, but he's from Atlanta, Georgia. I just need him to know that. And that's it.
So let me ask you a question about this real quick.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
when he's coming out to the ring, do they actually say he's from Charlotte?
Yeah. As a few people that I've been keeping tabs on that say they are from Charlotte, North Carolina. And again, that's cool. We all on the same team. But some I feel like some of y'all is taking advantage of the situation. You live here. I feel like you're not advancing Charlotte in a positive way. I just put it like that. Around the city. So you ain't doing that. I feel like you ain't got no claim to say you from Charlotte, North Carolina. When he comes to the ring, they say he from Charlotte, North Carolina every time. So we gotta change something about that. His mama said he from Atlanta, Georgia. So we got to change something about that.
He said his mama. Got
Mama.
that ass.
She said I can't argue with her.
You can't argue with mama now.
Exactly.
So
I was taught to respect my elders.
I got an idea. It's a ladder match. And what's dangling down from the hook, it's just a big sign that says Charlotte, North Carolina. If you win the match, you get Charlotte, and he has to drop Charlotte from his intro. But if he gets Charlotte, he gets to keep it. No more questions asked.
You know what? I could agree to those terms. Those seem like fair terms on all sides. I can agree to that. That's something I can agree to. You know what I'm saying? Let's put a crown up there. Let's find us a little crown, put it up, hang it up from the ladder, or hang it up from the top of the building. Let's climb a ladder. Whoever grabbed the crown first, if I grab it, you stop lying about where you from. If you grab it, all right, hey man, I just got to get over. I can agree to those terms. Those sound like some good conditions to me.
Caleb Colley, you on the spot, Brad. Hey, we gonna book this. I'm gonna try to get him on.
I'm with it.
We gonna book this.
I'm with it. Ain't got nothing but time, and opportunity.
Caleb Colley. I got this written down in my notebook too. Don't you worry. I ain't gonna forget.
Nah, keep that in your mind. He's not from here. I need that word spread. Everybody need to know that. People out here lying about where they from. I don't understand it.
Whew. Now that I finally got to stir the pot, I'm good. What is the legacy that you are trying to leave?
Hopefully, when people remember me, I hope they just remember me as somebody that, like I said, one was authentic, but two, you know, I don't like necessarily when people like, oh, I'm a good guy. Because usually those people end up not being good people. But as long as people don't think I'm a piece of trash by the time I leave, I think that'd be pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? I think as long as people have a, all right opinion of me and people ain't trying to be like, nah, don't put him on this show. Nah, he was a piece of trash. I didn't like having him in my locker room or something like that. As long as people I'm wrestling with, got a positive opinion of me, I think I'll be out in life.
Well, without further ado, is there anything else you would like to add, Bars?
No, no, no. I got everything out the way. Very appreciative for the brother that's coming through tonight. I know he has a busy schedule and everything like that, but we are always grateful for when you guys step down all out of the bright lights and come down here and represent, you know what I mean, and come through on the show. Like, we're very appreciative of that. It's been a great experience tonight. I know I've seemed kind of groggy a little bit, but you
Nah,
know what I
you good.
mean. but I got work in the AM, so
I feel you.
that's why
Hey
I
man,
can
you got work and you got responsibilities, man. I can't even fault you. You doing your thing, and I
yeah,
appreciate y'all even taking the time out to do something like
yeah,
this, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
like you said, put people on, like y'all do.
Yeah, and not just that, it's not just that, it's not just putting y'all on. It's putting us on too, because
Yeah,
it put us in a great space as far as, like, just content creating in general, and
yeah,
networking with other professional wrestling athletes, and
yeah,
we've even spoke about, branching out and doing other facets of, content creating as far as wrestling, as far as combat
yeah,
sports in general. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just a matter of time. But like I said, wrestling will always be the core of what we do. You know what I'm saying? So we're
yeah.
we're just we're just appreciative for you stepping through and everything like that. We hope you don't make it your last time coming by. And next time you come through, we gotta see a belt. We gotta see some belt
I
around your
feel you.
shoulder. We gotta see a belt
Hey
around your
man,
shoulder.
so I got this little match tomorrow against my youngin. He been acting kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I told him I was gonna set him straight. I told him he gotta act a little bit different. So we gonna see how he act. But I'm gonna have to take that belt up off his waist. So hopefully next time I come through, I'm gonna have that belt with me.
Most definitely, that's what we want to see. That's what we
Yes,
want to see
sir.
for sure. Uh, I know you said you have a match tomorrow, so you mind making that announcement and letting the people know where they can find you, handles and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. So of course tomorrow, ACW Power Slam at Mount Gilead Elementary School. Hopefully, my boy Bash Caliban to act a little bit different. He a little bit young, so I understand they act a little bit different. But hopefully, when he get in there with the ring with me this time, he don't act crazy. So hopefully, I'm walking out with the South Atlantic States Championship. If you want to keep up with me and you want to see if I win this strap tomorrow, look me up. All my social media is basically the same. It's at the name is Bobby. The is spelled with a Z without the S. S is already taken. You do what you got to do. So yeah, the name is Bobby. You can find me on YouTube, Bobby Ballantyne. Uh, yeah, that's where I'm at. And hopefully, I'm gonna get this belt tomorrow. I need him to act a little bit better. He been acting a little stuck up. I need him to act like a, polite young person of society that he is. I'm a little bit older. I can act a little bit more reckless. He a little bit younger. He got responsibilities on the way. I need him to get his stuff together. But I'm gonna have to take this belt off of him just to make sure he act right.
Okay, most definitely. Hey, that's another thing. How can we watch that?
So usually they'll put it up on YouTube after the show's
Okay.
being released.
Okay.
But either way, I'll find a way to get that. If I can get the footage, I'll find a way to get that to y'all.
Okay. Because we definitely would like to do a reaction to it,
Yes, sir.
and give our take and everything like that. I think it would be
Bet,
dope.
bet.
Yeah.
Heck.
Yeah. All right, bro.
And it's ACW. So what does the ACW stand for? Real quick, so that people know. There's plenty of them out there.
Atlantic. Yeah, there is. Atlantic Championship Wrestling. It's blue and white or blue and yellow logo is usually what you'll see.
Okay.
I'm gonna be wrestling tomorrow for the South Atlantic States Championship. It's kind of like their United States Intercontinental Championship for y'all that watch get stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Cool.
I gotta set a good example for the people, and my boy ain't doing that. So somebody got to do
Whoop that trick.
it.
So I asked this question before we end every show. If you could see anybody on the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, who would it be? But Bobby Ballantyne has to help us get this person on the show.
Okay.
So it's kind of like what Cam Jackson did.
Yeah, I do too. I'll say Ian Maxwell. I feel like that's somebody that people don't hear a whole lot from. And I feel like he would get some good it'd just be cool to get his side of the story. I feel like he have a some different and unique answers to some of the questions y'all asked me as well. And then my boy Movie Mike. I feel like, he's somebody that's always good to have on in front of a camera. I mean, it's Movie Mike. That boy see the red light, he on. Even if he don't see the red light, he working on his scripts. He getting his stuff right. He cleaning his glasses. He making sure that his fit is good. Like he making sure he right, and he's professional. If I could describe him, I would say he's professional.
We're familiar with both of them.
I think both of them are cool. And I know both of them would be good guests to be on the podcast.
We are very familiar with Ian Maxwell because we see him on Ashe. And this is not the first time we've heard Movie Mike's name. Problem is, I cannot find Movie Mike anywhere.
I feel you. I will definitely get y'all his information and make sure y'all get in contact because y'all definitely feel like y'all would all click together.
Yeah, I've looked for him and looked for him and looked for him. I was like, I don't, because it brings up like what's the name of that wrestling movie that Mickey Rourke played in? It keeps bringing that kind of stuff.
The Wrestler. Yeah.
Bringing that up, I'm like, that is not who I'm looking for.
I feel you.
But yeah. I'll keep looking for him, and I'll wait on the message, and then also we'll get you information for Northern California.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen. We'll reach out to Mr. Allen and get you some information on him. So maybe y'all can hook up and do some business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hopefully that'll all come through. And I appreciate y'all again for that. I really appreciate that.
No doubt. Anytime. Yeah. And with that being said, you see him, our special guest, Bobby Ballantyne. Tomorrow, he will be at ACW. He's going for that chip. Y'all better watch. Y'all better be prepared because he ain't playing no games. He ain't playing no games whatsoever. And we ain't playing no games neither.
And Caleb Conley, you not from Charlotte, North Carolina.
You know where you from.
Yeah. And with that being said, we'll be back with another one, Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast. It's your boys, tag team champs of the world, the insightful one, Brawls Wrestling Media, and the dynamic salute, Southern King, Darkwing Dub. We'll be back.
And that wraps up another explosive edition of the podcast. Join us next week as the road to the championship continues.
This is the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, your home for real pro wrestling talk.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we the champs. Thanks for listening. We gone.
Yo, Robert Mason here, and the fire in this arena is unreal.
And I'm Molly Finwick. We are the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle commentary team, bringing nonstop action